Hello everyone, it's Yuki here and welcome back to my 1000 plus day world tour. This video will basically be me walking around the world, showing you what I built in these 1000 days over here on my Let's Play Forever world. So if you guys have any questions of anything that I've built so far or anything that I should be building, just let me know down in the comments. I originally wanted to do this in a copy of the world and do it in creative to make it a bit easier to do, but I decided that it probably would be better to do it in survival. Like that I can fully show you the experience that I have every time I play in the world. And this is pretty much gonna tie in with one of my goals, which is building a path between everything that I built. So to start things off, this is not the spawn area. The spawn area is this one that you see on the map, and it's actually pretty far away from where I am right now. I haven't really built anything at spawn yet, but that's something on my list currently, because so far I haven't died, but in case I do, it's gonna be a real big pain to actually get back here without an elytra, which I don't currently have at spawn. Spawn is basically empty, just as it was when I first was there, so it's gonna be really tricky to get here. I don't have a portal, I don't have any backup gear, I don't have absolutely anything there, so it's probably gonna be something where I'm gonna be building a small area where it's gonna be a bit easier to get back into the world in case I die. I'll probably have to connect the nether portal to this area over here, so I'm probably gonna be doing it through the nether. I don't want to use the nether roof as much because it kind of takes away from the game, so even though it would take me much longer to build tunnels through the nether, at least that's gonna make me build much more and develop the world rather than just doing a path over on the nether roof. I'm probably still going to be using the roof just to build a couple of farms, for example a gold farm, maybe a bartering farm, like a magma cream farm, all those kind of farms that would require a lot of digging in the nether. I don't really feel like doing that, so the nether roof would definitely be a better option for that. But that's gonna be enough rambling, so let's start the world tour. And what better place to start than the first place where I started to add any items down. This is where I first placed down my furnace, my crafting table. I used to have a bed over here, and this was my tree farm. This is where I gathered all the wood that I needed to actually start building the world. I then built my starter house, which was a simple house. I added a bit of decoration around, had some animal pens, had a couple of issues where a wolf killed all my sheep. I have a small garden over here, which was basically giving me the crops at the start that I needed. Added a small pumpkin farm so I could start trading with the villagers. Inside here, we have a modest area with a couple of chests, a few furnaces, a crafting table, as you do. We have an upstairs area where my bed is, a map that got added later into the world, a bit more storage and a brewing stand, the book where I keep track of some achievements, as you can see here. The start of the Forever world was the 30th of July 2023, so it's going to be 2 years this year, and then you can kind of read through everything that I've achieved so far. Going down below, we have the XP mine, which is basically what I built in order to get all the XP that I needed for enchanting. So we have a really nice staircase going down. It's all nicely lit up. It goes down into this kind of mine shaft kind of vibe tunnel, and then we reach the actual spawner area and enchanting table. Behind this, there's actually a full set of books, so that gives me the whole 30 levels that I need for the enchants. Then over here, it's where all the skeletons are dropping in, and they are actually coming from behind this wall where the spawner is. I kept this rather simple as it didn't need to be too overcomplicated, as all I needed was the XP, and even though it was very slow, it was good enough to get all my gear enchanted. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not gonna go through the world in the order that I built everything, but rather in the order of proximity to each build to each other. To continue on, I built a small wheat farm with a really tiny bridge just to kind of get across, which basically takes us over to the mountain. As per the challenge that I kind of set up in my worlds, I'm gonna have a path in between everything that I built, so this is no exception. I have a path going from the starter base going over here where we have a really tiny bridge going across the water, and then a path going inside the mountain that I fully custom built. Inside the mountain I have only 2 farms currently. a sugarcane farm, and a melon and pumpkin farm. The whole idea of the mountain was to enclose all the ugly farms that I would kind of have to build around here. They would basically just be running in the background, creating resources for me while I do builds or anything around the mountain. I tried to have the vibe look more or less like a lush cave. I know there's a few details missing here and there, but I do kind of like how it turned out actually. It was definitely a lot of stone that had to be used in the whole thing, and it was not an easy thing considering I never built anything so big before. But all things considered, I feel like it started to look really nice. And to mention that this was mainly made like this to look nice from the outside and definitely not from the inside. The inside was just made to contain all the ugly things that I would build, so I don't have to bother of how they look like. And then really close to the mountain, we have the sniffer enclosure. This is basically a fully automatic sniffer flower farm, where all the items get thrown into this chest over here after the sniffers dig them out. So this is pretty much the same idea where items are just passively forming here while I'm in the area building other things. Unless I really need some resources and there's no other way to get them except AFKing, I'm gonna try to not AFK. Continuing with the path, I have a path designed from here all the way to the next area, but to have a small stop on the way, this is my first small iron farm that I built, which again, it's only producing whenever I'm in the area. Obviously the iron, there's no reason to actually make a farm where I need to attack anything because the golems would drop the exact same amount of items. So this is again passively creating iron for me, and I'm planning to build a few smaller ones like this around all the other villages that I'm building. We are then taking a bit of a detour over here to the nice path that I built. All of the paths will have some sort of lighting. This one has these kind of lampposts made with barrels, just simple items that you can kind of get early game, as this was built pretty much in the early game of the world. Then we have my first ever diagonal bridge, which I feel it turned out pretty well. I'm sure that other people could add a few more details in here, but I'm rather happy with how it turned out, and I don't want to change anything that was previously built. I just want to see progress in my world, and I want to see how I evolved as a builder. Around all the areas that I build, I'm gonna have some kind of altar or at least a lightning rod contraption to make sure that all the builds are protected from lightning. I do have fire tick on, and every other rule is on that's supposed to be, so anything can burn, can be destroyed. So this is kind of a way to protect it. Being in need of resources, I built a classical farm over here. It's a really simple mob farm that produces a lot. All the mobs are basically dropping over here. The hoppers are collecting everything, and they are basically going down into my storage system. This is the entrance. It's a simple sorting system that basically sorts all the drops that come in from the mobs. We have gunpowder first. Pretty much a lot of it is really full just by being around. We have bones, string, all the other things that you can get. And then we have a miscellaneous section, which kind of gives me redstone, glowstone. They are really slow to gather, but this is not what it was made for. It was mainly built for the string, bones, gunpowder, and the string, so I'd be able to trade with the villagers. Arrows are kind of a byproduct. They are a lot, and they do kind of fill up the storage rather quick, as you can see over here. But for all these kind of things, you can build new farms. So I'm definitely gonna have to build a witch farm for the redstone, glowstone, sticks, and sugar. I believe they also drop glass bottles, so that would cover that as well. I don't necessarily need a lot of spider eyes, so there's no need for a spider farm, and I definitely need to get a lot more shulker boxes to actually have them down here so the items filter into them and make it much easier to transport. Following the path further, we reached the first village that I actually discovered. I tried to keep it as untouched as I could. I only built this massive lightning rod over here. I added a couple of lampposts just to keep the things lit up, and this was also one of my best villager trades ever since I played Minecraft, which actually comes from this guy, which sells a silk touch efficiency unbreaking tree pickaxe. So that's actually a really good pickaxe that I'm never gonna have to worry about, obviously unless this guy dies. Right next to the village, I built the first automatic carrot and potato farm. This was a very good thing to have at the start, especially that I could get all those golden carrots that I needed just from trading with the villagers with the exact same thing that they were farming. But I outgrew it pretty fast, and I'm gonna show you what I built next. To continue on, We have a small melon and pumpkin patch over here, with a cart on its side, carrying all those pumpkins and melons to the villages. A bit of a different path here, just made out of stone, which basically takes us over into the farmer village. The farmer village is a village which only contains farmers, where I am basically trading with them to get all the golden carrots, get all the emeralds by trading potatoes, carrots, pumpkins, and melons. And every single one of them have all those 4 trades that I need. So carrots, potatoes, pumpkins, and melons. That's exactly what I was looking for. All the other villagers that didn't have those, they kind of got disposed of. I have a little well over here from where they draw water that they need to water their crops. I have a small water tower over here that's dripping the water down into this barrel. And then we have a bit of a water trough which they use to basically transport the water around. I made a bit of a small storage area which has a few items inside. It's not a lot. I use it every now and again whenever I don't have enough space to put something in. And then I have 3 houses with a bit of a fountain in the middle where each of the villagers are going to be sleeping in. So there's a lot of beds in here. We have about 15 villagers or so which constantly move around, which actually make the village feel alive. My first beacon was also placed over here because underneath all these there's a huge storage system. So all these greenhouses are basically farms. This is a wheat farm, this is a potato farm, this over here is a carrot farm, and then this over here is a beetroot farm. All the drops produced by those 4 farms gather over here in this storage system, which is only about half used right now. I have a bit of a counter over here for poisonous potatoes. This is how long this farm has been running. It doesn't really tell any story for how long this has been happening, as the poisonous potatoes are random to drop, but we basically have a lot of wheat, some potatoes because I've been using them for trading, some beetroot, some carrots, a good few golden carrots, then some emeralds over here, and all the other ones are empty currently except the last one where bone meal is made. I placed all this copper a very long time ago when I built this, and it finally started to fully oxidize. There's still a good few that are only weathered currently, but every time I come down here there's more and more blocks that are actually turning that really nice steel color. There's still one over here, but that's gonna turn real soon. Continuing on with the path, we are gonna be getting over to the next village, which is our mason village. I try to keep the same vibe as on the previous village, where the village seems alive with all the villagers walking around. They walk in between that house that's down below. They come over here in the work area where all the stone cutters are, and then across this bridge they're going over to where the bell is, just to kind of gossip at the end of the day. I added a few details around here, the stone that they're currently processing, a nice crane where basically all the villagers are taking the stone down over here for storage, and then from there they're transporting it down over to the storage area where it's kind of getting full right now. The whole idea of making this village second is that the villagers are trading a good bit of items that I need for my next builds. They do trade a lot of terracotta, which was the main idea of the village, but they also trade some andesite, granite, diorite, all those kind of things, so they're definitely going to be really handy to have such early in the game. I say early, but keep in mind this is 1,000 days in. For the last area, I didn't actually build a path. I kind of stopped it over here. I did have to get my elytra pretty early just to make it easier to build and jump around these mountains and all those kind of things. I do try to kind of walk the paths that I'm building just to keep it a bit more immersive, but the elytra is pretty much a big necessity at the moment with the world being so big. So as I said, the path kind of stops over here, but if we go straight over here, where over this area I'm planning to build a pretty huge bridge, we are going to be getting to my end portal room. I built a very simple drop over here that basically takes us all the way down. And then this is the whole end portal room. It's very tiny. It does have the dragon egg on display. It does look like the end to keep the vibe. I have a bed over here where I can set my spawn before going in. Just in case anything happens, I can jump straight back in. And this is pretty much everything that I've built in 1,000 days in my forever world. If you guys are interested to see all the progress that I've made and how it dealt with everything, do feel free to check out my series. There's a whole playlist over on my channel, so you can have a look over there. As always, thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate all your support. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and share your thoughts below. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. Until next time, happy crafting!